Shout out to Charlie. He was on the red carpet. Not the red carpet, sorry, the full view last night. And he made some really, really good points that I really agreed with. I wanted to share it with you guys if you didn't see it. And he was basically saying the squad isn't as good as we think it is. Like the balance of the squad is off. The summer window that we had, he thinks it's an awful window in terms of what we needed versus what we came out with versus the planning of it. Not necessarily because the 3 players we bought aren't good, take out Sonny Lomans, but not necessarily because they're not good, but because of the way it's been constructed for the actual needs and demands of what we want. And he basically said that, well, we needed midfield. Well, what we done with the attack, we should have done with the midfield. Like the midfield, is so bad. It's a big issue. He was saying that even if we went to a 4-3-3, I was sort of pushing back saying, well, we have 2 right wingers then in Ahmad and Mbeumo. And he goes, yeah, that's true. But we have no left wingers. Like people talk about Cunha sort of just you shoehorn him in basically to left wing. But he's essentially another Bruno. They do it in different ways, but they're Mavericks. They want the ball. They want to make things happen. They create in different ways, but they have to play centrally. And that's a fair point. We would just, if we went to 4-3-3 tomorrow, we'd shoehorn him into left wing because he's just clever enough to play there until you get another summer. Then you got to go and get wingers again. But, he was basically saying that bringing in him when you need a midfielder or 2 10s when you need a midfielder, and that's the succession plan for Bruno, which we have spoken about before, just doesn't make any sense. And he said that he was like, well, we've got some okay players, like Mazraoui's okay. De Ligt, he was like, he doesn't raise the standard massively. He was saying like he's good, he's okay, but he doesn't think he's as good as what everyone's been saying he has been. He's like Dorgu isn't it? He's the one getting most of the ball in the attacking areas, and he just can't do it. So that's not good, is it? It's not a good buy. Obviously in midfield, obviously we know his feelings on Ugarte, but his point was that there's this thing that he says that the manager's going to get sacked. Like he was in agreement of that. That's over. But the way that he said his biggest issue is actually Ineos, and he's frightened. Like they haven't really got a clue what they're doing, the way they're constructing this squad, the way they have done it. And there's this big shift now. I say shift. Some people are stuck with that. That are we in safe hands here? Like, what's the plan in here? Because we all kind of said it was a good window and it made sense. Or a lot of people.
But this is the point, isn't it? Is that so? There he's saying, well, actually, maybe the squad isn't as good as we think it is. But when they go to other clubs, they are as good as we think they are. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, it's not to say that, that group of players, they're actually really, really good. They're just being completely held back by the coaching and by the formation and by the way the club's structured. But we've just seen that we're saying like, okay, Rasmus Højlund is going to Napoli in a better environment, a better team, in a better coach side, with more of a game plan. And he is doing okay. Marcus Rashford the same at Barcelona. So I don't know if it's necessarily the fact that, actually those players are just not as good as we think they are. I think maybe they're a little bit below that, but they're definitely not 14th or 15th in the Premier League.
And he did say that, sorry, I forgot to add the context, to be fair to Charlie. He did say this squad is good enough to get to, European places and stuff, but he goes, it's not good enough to like get in the top 4 or challenge for higher. And I don't think anyone thinks it is, really. Maybe. If we had a good manager, you go on a good run, he gets the maximum out of it, you might be able to get a run at top 4 because the quality of the league's not the best. Everyone can beat everyone.
Yeah, but, and again, you can come up with solutions. This is the other part of it. Even Ruud van Nistelrooy. It's not to say that Ruud van Nistelrooy is an amazing manager. I mean, he barely won when he was at Leicester. But even he saw when he was in for that interim spell of
didn't just lose every game.
Midfield's a bit shit. Right? I'll just put Casemiro, Ugarte. I'll play 4-4-2. I'll just keep it really compact. It won't be nice to watch. The matches will be the shits, but we won't lose those games. When you've got, this is the other part of it, isn't it? This whole you don't have the perfect team or you don't have the exact players to do what you want to do. A lot of managers don't get that. Like they don't. A lot of managers go, okay, it's not ideal. It's not how I would want to do it, but I've got to get the most out of these group of players, and that would be that is the thing where I do push back on is that yes, we're talking about there's lots of wider issues at Manchester United and the scrutiny from the media, the scrutiny from the fans, and I genuinely don't know how to fix that aspect of it. Like, well, there's nothing we can do about the media. They're going to heavily scrutinize stuff. That's just all they're going to do. From the fans' perspective, I mean, we can sit here and be like, oh, give players a break, or don't, overrate them, or don't push too hard. But it's Man United. It comes with the territory, doesn't it? It just is what it is. It's almost like the blessing and curse of our history, isn't it? Is expectation is high on any player that comes in. You've got to hit the ground running, because if you don't, you're rubbish. It is what it is. But the other aspects of things, of like the environment to get the most out of training, discipline, formation, get the best out of the players that you do have, that can all be fixed. So the answer to the question there, the real problem at United is there's lots. There is. You know what I mean? There's there's lots of issues. But the other part of it is, just because there's lots of issues, that doesn't mean we should give up basically trying to solve any of them. So just because we go, look, cultural issues at United and media scrutiny and fuck these owners, the Glazers, they're still here, and this, that, and the other. That for me still isn't a reason enough to go, well, there's no point in getting rid of Ruben then. There's nothing he can do, because that also isn't true, because there is stuff that he can do to help, not maybe fix everything, but help improve things, and he's not doing them. So it's a complex one. To be fair, this was something that Scott was trying to sort of talk about on the red carpet on Monday, where he was sort of saying that they're almost separate issues. But what I suppose what we do when we do a disservice when we kind of try and throw them all in together. You know what I mean? And we do kind of muddy the waters with them. So, basically this whole thing of like, what can Ruben do? It's so terrible at Manchester United. You go, well, no, you can do things. Well, what can the players do? Because you can't succeed at Manchester United. Well, there are certain ways you can behave and you can act. Or what can Ineos do? Because there's nothing they can do, because the Glazers still own the majority of the club. Well, there are things that they can do. Like, you know what I mean? There are still things that all of these different issues can do to improve things, but they're all not doing those things, and it just makes
they're not. And my good friend Neji, you guys all know Neji. He's been on here a few times. Shout out to Neji. We've been talking, actually. He won't mind me saying, because it's not like a super private, don't say it. It's just about what's going on. And
leaking DMs, leaking
exactly.
chats.
It's definitely not that. And I know him personally, and he wouldn't be mad at this. He's on the internet every week giving his opinion. So big up to Neji. He's my boy, man. But he's not in this camp of like it's on Amrin. And he was just sort of saying, I'm shocked you can't see any form of improvement. It was my clip on Talks About when I'm like, I haven't seen any improvement. And he says, I'm shocked you can't see any form of improvement.
Really?
Yeah, this is overwhelming, significant, given the task in hand. He goes, I'm right in saying majority predicted European spot, but didn't expect top four. If so, that applies to you. Then he had a squad on course for that off the performances alone. The reality is that's still he stumbled on why this system is clearly working, and stats prove this. But one area we're bottom half of the league for is being clinical. So he's going to the players keep missing chances thing.
What area we're bottom half of the league for is being bottom half of the league.
That changes the whole conversation. That changes the whole conversation to the focus and competence of the players. So if they did their job, we wouldn't have been having these manager out convos, because the results would reflect the performances and domination on the pitch. I think we have respectfully, as a fan base, misdiagnosed the problem this season. And I think it's either lazy analysis or simply a lack of awareness to actually what's going on if the manager is the main focus this season. The only criticism that can truly be had is his selection and substructures at the moment that has not gone in his favour in key moments. And he absolutely has to drop the likes of Altay, Maguire, Shaw, because we have suitable replacements to maintain that quality. Either way, outside of that, they aren't sackable offences to me. Now, that was quite a long bit from Neji. I just replied with, bro, for me, he's out of his depth. Results speak too loudly. And then he said, I agree results speak loudly. But the deeper question is why these results are happening is seemingly being misdiagnosed, in my opinion. I'm unsure of your position on the system and formations, and I'm praying you aren't one of them. But results depend more on players, one executing the manager's ways, which statistically and visually they have at a very high rate, especially offensively. However, our conversion rate is one of the lowest. And to me is the main root tumor in why these results aren't happening. It's more on the players than it's the manager at this and the main point. And that's where I have to defend this manager, because although he's struggling with substitutions and starters, etc., which he can do better, the main issues is the accountability of these players finishing off what the system creates. So Neji's basically saying, it's done. So in summary, Neji's basically saying that the players aren't finishing off the moves, i.e. the manager has coached the goals, he's coached the win, but the players aren't finishing their dinner. That is the real reason why.
I was lost in the moment you get into the territory of it's not his fault the players are missing chances, you lose me. You lose me, because we go
Why,
back.
is that not a fair point? Because he can't put the ball in the back, and that is on the individual to score. Playing devil's advocate here.
It's accountability, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because whenever it's if they score the goals, that's genius by Ruben, genius. If they don't score the goals, that's not Ruben's fault. Well, how come when we win it's all on Ruben, but when we lose it's not on him? Like what?